It is time once again for the weekly closes on our favorite Bitcoin miners. But before we get going, go ahead and check out Capital Curiosities. They do a lot of very interesting videos about fiscal histories and fiascos and schemes and other such things. And they've got a video coming up this weekend that's going to be tomorrow for the Bond King himself, Michael Milken. That's going to be a very interesting one to watch as well. I, for one, am excited for it. Check out the link in the description for Capital Curiosities. And let's get on. So, Clean Spark. We're going to start with Clean Spark here. You can see that we are just barely trying so hard to get bullish on the RSI. You can see we are currently at 48. And we came up to the 50 line, bounced right off of it, ricocheted right off of it, which was coincidentally also just about the 200-week moving average, which is at $11. We came up to that this week and got crushed. So we're still in this ascending channel here. We're still very much in this ascending channel. These two gravestone dojis look disgusting. I hate them. But if we look at the BX trender, the momentum is still building up. We did get a lot of sell volume, but we went up real high first, and then it took a lot of sell volume to push us back down to end the week minus 4% compared to last week. I mean, we did that really big pop here when Bitcoin got a new all-time high, but we couldn't hold it on Clean Spark. So we're hoping to see that here. We are above this yellow trend line here. We are above it. We are also above the 9-day EMA, closing right down on the 21-day EMA. So we got to, week, the 9-week and the 21-week. We got to get above the 200-week EMA at $11 on Clean Spark. And why do we need to do that? Well, because when we do that, you see this on the right here, this big empty void in the volume profile. Guess where that is? That is just above the 200-week moving average. That's why it was defended just now. The shorts were defending it, keeping us under that, because once we get into this pocket, we're going all the way up to $15, almost $16, almost in an instant. There's nothing there. It's just an empty pocket just waiting for us to get to 15. And then if we can cross 15, there's this, it's not empty, but it's a bit of a pocket as well here, all the way up to equilibrium on the volume profile for the weekly, which is up at $17. That's why I'm interested there right now. Clean Spark warrants broke out hard this week. Look at this thing. I got a fib on there for the, let me turn this off for right now. Look at this though. We were up 57% this week. I told you I've been accumulating between about 15 cents and 23 cents here. I'm a little over 30,000 of these things now. It broke the 9-week EMA. It came right up to the 20-week, 1-week EMA at 46 cents, a little higher than that, and then retreated from there a little bit, which is fine. That's to be expected. Don't be surprised though that now we've come across up above this big one right here. Now let me turn on this right here. No, I don't want to turn on that right there. Let me zoom in here. Okay, so two things of note. Look at the volume. See this big selling volume right here in that little tiny candle? We closed above that last week, and look what happened. Boom, we took off. All right, this was the big one to conquer. This one right here, getting above this and holding it. This 19-cent range, right? Look at all that selling volume right there. Okay, we got above that. Now, the next one is we got above this big bearish engulfing candle right here. This big bearish candle right there. We closed above that, even closed right at the top of the wick, not above the wick, but close to the wick. So the next thing for us to conquer is 65 cents right here. This big candle right there. Let's see. Is that the next biggest volume candle? Let's see. We need to zoom a little more. I know this is ugly. I'm just trying to see which bar is bigger. The next biggest bar, yeah, that's this one. And then the next biggest bar is right here. So that is, yes, 65 cents. We got to get above 65 cents to get the next biggest bar of volume, negative volume behind us and below us. Okay, let me turn on my drawings real quick for Clean Spark warrants. You can see right now. So I did the swing right now from the low here at 15 cents to the high there at 46, 47 cents. And for right now, what we need to do is stay above 35 cents to come back to the 382 retracement and then go higher. If we go to the extension of the fib there, you can see that 65 is that level 618 to the upside. That is going to be significant resistance there. And if we can crack it, well, then we could potentially find ourselves racing up to like 80, 90 cents on the warrants. So that's pretty cool. That's pretty cool indeed. Now, none of that's going to happen if Bitcoin rolls over. So keep that in mind. If Bitcoin rolls over, none of that happens. All right. Let's take a look at Mara real quick. Mara was down at 9%, significantly more than Clean Spark. But look at this. We're staying inside of this aggressive uptrend. We're just chopping back and forth inside of this ascending channel here. Now, you can see the 200-week moving average at 1676. We did just like with Clean Spark. We came up to it and we clashed with it and it beat us this time. Now, something to keep in mind here though is that we did do a lower high on the BX trender, which is bad for momentum. You can see that the gray volume here is trying to pinch to the upside, trying to pinch there, but it's not quite making it. We are retreating on the RSI on the weekly, that is also bad. Let's take a look at the volume profile for Mara. So Mara, we're kind of almost at equilibrium on the weekly volume profile there. It's right at 18, almost $19 there. And once we get across that, yeah, we got room up to like 24 or so. But right now, yeah, we're hitting, basically hitting that volume resistance there on Mara. So who knows what's going to go on with Mara in that. We're still on that uptrend, but momentum is waning. Big selling volume came in. Yeah, I don't love it, don't hate it, but as long as it's in my channel, and it doesn't come back and take out, $12 again, I'm not too concerned about that. Same with Clean Spark, right? As long as it's in my upward channel and doesn't come back to take out $7 again, then I'm not too worried about it. Let's take a look at Iren. Iren significantly better, plus 8.4%. We came out of this falling wedge I identified months ago. And now we're on angle 2. We're searching for angle 3. Angle 3 is going to be the one that gets us out of this big descending channel here, and angle 3 is going to be the one that takes us back to $16-ish, which is where I will likely be exiting my position. You can see we got a green momentum for the first time in a while here on the BX trender. That is great. You can also see that the volume here did it flip? Ooh, it might have flipped. Let's zoom in. Ooh, it's so close. It hasn't quite flipped, but we are above the 50 on the RSI. So the bulls are in charge on Iren. Okay. They're in charge on Iren. All right. I've been ringing this bell. since about $6.31. We are now at $9.12. So, that's a significant up move, right? About 650, it went as high as 49% up. We're currently about 40% up. You're welcome. No, just kidding. But yeah, we're searching for angle 3. Now, if we lose angle 2, which is this one right here, this bad boy that we're currently following, if we lose that, we're coming back to angle 1. If we come back to angle 1, we could go as low as 681. As long as we don't crack angle 1, as long as we don't crack that first angle there, we're still in that uptrend. Okay, so watch that on Iren. Let's take a look at Riot. Riot also was down 6.56%. Again, same exact channel as CleanSpark and Mara, but this one's got it's got green on the BX trender. The volume oscillator's going the right way, but RSI is not. So the momentum indicators are kind of warring with each other. On Riot, I would say that I'm watching that $7.19 range. If it goes beneath $7.19, that's where I would be drawing my line in the sand, and I'd say I think this is going to come to the lows and maybe crack those lows and go even lower. Let's look at the volume profile. We forgot to do that on Iren. Let's look at that real quick. I don't even see a volume profile on it. It's not even coming up. All right. Oh, well. Too bad. I guess we don't get one on Riot. Or, sorry, on Iren. Okay. Is it because it's loading? There it is. Let me take a look. Maybe it does pop up eventually if I give it enough time. If it doesn't do it in like the next 5 seconds, well, then I'm just going to move on. All right, it didn't do it. We're moving on. Sorry. Can't check it. We'll check it another time, I guess. All right, this one's going to pop in here in a second, but it was up here. It was the volume profile equilibrium. Yeah, it's about right there at $11. So we can move from $8.55 where we currently are up to $11 potentially, and that would be where the volume profile is going to make us fight for that next little bit there. Now, if we look here on the volume profile, if we can get above $11.93, well, then it's kind of open air, isn't it? It's kind of open air. We could find ourselves trading up at $16, maybe even $18 again, maybe. We've been stuck. Now, notice, we've been stuck in this downtrend. This big channel right here that I've drawn right here, that one. I'll draw it even nice. This big channel right here. We've been in that for a long time. We've been in that channel basically since July 2023. If we get out of that channel, it's going to be an explosive move. It's probably going to go all the way back up to the all-time high here. Not all-time high, but the high from 2023 at about $20 very, very quickly. Okay, so watch that. Watch that very carefully. If we lose that, yeah, if we lose that $7.19, then we're going to come to the lows, the absolute lows, which was at $6. And if we lose that, we could come all the way back to the bottom of the channel down about $1.52. So watch that closely on Riot. You can see, let's go to Btbt. How's Btbt doing? Btbt is actually looking pretty good. I've identified this falling wedge a while ago. I said around $2 that we did have room up to potentially $3.45. Maybe not a full double up, but it'll hit that, and then that would also be where the equilibrium is. Now, this only does well, honestly, if Ethereum does well, because they don't have very much Bitcoin, and they have AI, but they're Canadian-based AI, so they're not going to get any of that US AI spent, all right? So this is Ethereum. This is purely Ethereum. And if you're purely playing Ethereum, I would do this one. I'll show you real quick. And of course, nothing I say is financial advice and not a suggestion to buy, sell, or hold any asset whatsoever. I am playing this one. I'm playing ETH for my ETH exposure right now. Okay, I've been selling puts on ETH actually. That third angle never came in. I've been selling puts on ETH and it gives me about 10 to 15% per month on that. So I've been pretty happy with that. I liked it better than Btbt. It's ETHU. That's a 2x Ethereum fund. All right. But Bitdigital is going to be connected to Ethereum. If Ethereum does well, Bitdigital will do well. If Bitcoin does well, Bitdigital will do okay. All right. But if Ethereum doesn't do well. All right. So we're watching for this one. We're watching this line right here. So basically, if it comes below $2.13, that's it. I'm done. I'm not interested. We did get green on the VX trender. We also are looking good on the volume oscillator here. And the RSI is pointing the right direction for Bitdigital. We could find it maybe hit 355 or so. And then it will struggle because there's a lot of resistance right in this area here, starting at that 350-55 level. If we can crunch through and get all the way up to honestly like $4 and past $4, well, then it gets easier on the way up, but we will struggle to get past that because of what is in our way. Let's take a look at Bitfarms. How's Bitfarms doing? Same sort of thing here. We came up to the 21-week moving average. We rejected off of it. We are barely holding my trend line here on Bitfarms. This trend line that I drew right here, we're barely holding that. Barely. If we lose that, and especially if we lose 93 cents, coming all the way back down to 67 cents, right? That's what we're watching. Now, the BX trender says the momentum is good. The oscillator says, volume oscillator says the volume is good. The RSI, though, is not telling a good story. It's telling of weak momentum, all right? The RSI is telling a story of weak momentum. And remember, institutions have not really come back to Bitfarms. So right now, we're watching the 21-week moving average at $1.23. If we can get above $1.23, maybe there's a buy in there up to $1.71 or maybe up to $2, okay? If we lose 93 cents, which, you know, I have this at $1, right? If we lose 93 cents, and I'll draw this right here, and I'm going to make this one red. If we lose 93 cents, we're coming back to the lows, maybe all the way back to the bottom of this channel, all the way down here at 48 cents, okay? Keep that in mind. I do not like Bitfarms right now, or where it is, or what it's been doing, okay? It feels like an abandoned baby, honestly. Okay, let's take a look here on Cifr. I'm drawing a line on Cifr. This is the line. This is the invalidation line. We lose this line. We are going to come down to 283. We lose 283. We're going all the way back to the lows. The BX trender is going the right way, but it is still red. The volume oscillator is going the right way, but again, it is still red. The RSI hit the 50 and it is retracing. A 50 RSI rejection is pretty common, just like back here, right? In December 23rd, we came down to the 50 RSI and then we piddled around a little bit, did a little bit up, and then came down further. Now, we could do the same sort of thing, right? Where we hit the 50 RSI, we kind of piddle around a little bit, make a flag for a month or so, and then break through that 50 RSI and then find ourselves trading back up at $5 or $6 on Cifr. But again, the RSI is showing that there is going to at least be a short-term little pullback here. This could go on for a week or two. We hit the equilibrium on the weekly. If we can cross that and get above $4.25, well, then we're going to fly right up to $5.50 on Cifr, and that's the truth. If we crack this line that I just drew, we could find ourselves coming out to 280 and then potentially all the way back to the lows at $2. Okay, let's go look at CORXZ. How's CORXZ doing? CORXZ, BX trender looks good. It printed a green one for the first time in quite a while. Did the volume? The volume also printed green, and the RSI is above 50. CORXZ is the best chart I've seen so far. Okay, CORXZ has the best chart I have seen so far. We got above 50 on the RSI, the volume oscillator is green, and the BX trender is green. This is the best chart right now. It's also above the 21-week moving average. It got above it, across it, and stayed above it. That is very bullish. In fact, I might buy some CORXZ because right where we are, we could easily find this thing come all the way up to about $14, maybe higher. So we could see this thing do a 40% move in a day or two, to be honest. All right, I'm watching it real close. We got above all this. See all this big red volume right here on March 3rd, also March 24th, and March 31st. All that big red bars, we're trading above all of those except this one. So we get above this one right here at 1148. Well, then we're going to go to the next one, right, which is going to take us all the way up to 1327. We get above 1327. There isn't any other big red bars to fight us. Once we get above 1327, you better believe we're going to come right back up to 16, 17, maybe even $18 on CORXZ. Now, if we break this trend line I've got drawn here, we could come down to the 50. We got the 50 week that could catch us at 949. If that fails, then we're watching $8. If $8 fails, we're coming back to the lows. That's how that's going to work out. Okay, Wulf, let's take a look at Wulf. How's Wulf looking? It's not terrible. It's not great. It's not great. It's not terrible. The RSI is flat versus pointing down. BX Trender printed its first green bar in a while. Now, what I don't like about Wulf is that it hit the 50-week moving average and rejected. That sucks a little bit. Okay, I'm watching this line again. We're on angle 2, by the way. Wulf has 2 angles. You see it started this one here, and then it picked up speed. Now we're looking for angle 3. Angle 3 should take us parabolically all the way up to at least 650. Okay, that's what we're looking for. We're looking for a parabolic move at least to 650. If we can't get that, well, then it's going to roll over. So right now, if we can't get the 50-week moving average, which would open us right up to the 200-week moving average at 450. We're above. We're way above the equilibrium on that. Look at this. So basically, the higher we go on Wulf, the less volume is in the way. The less the volume is in the way, the higher we go up on Wulf, all the way up to like the highs. So the higher we get, the less pressure there is on Wulf. So I do like that, but I would want to see it get above the 200-week moving average at 504, or at least, at the very least, I want to see it get above the 50-week moving average at $4.14. Excuse me, the 200-week is $4.96. If we fail, we come back to line 1, which is down at 289, and potentially even come back down to the equilibrium at $2.30. Okay, so watch those levels on Wulf. Let's take a look at Hut. How's Hut doing? Hut is actually not too bad. Hut is kind of working on its third angle right now. All right, so we have angle 1 down here, angle 2, and angle 3 just launched up right there. If we lose angle 3, which we're working on right now, we come back down to angle 2, which is $14.90. If that holds, we resume and look for angle 3 again. If that fails, we get a cup and handle. We could get a cup and handle, and this one has to hold. That one has to hold. And then if that's a cup and handle, then it's going to take us all the way back up to the 20s, okay, on Hut. So watch that very, very closely. What did I just open? Go away. All right. Oops. There we go. The cross. All right. I do like this right now. It is looking like it could form some sort of cup and handle or something. Did we get a green? Yeah, we got a green bar on the VX Trender. The volume oscillator isn't green yet, but it's going the right direction, and the RSI is above 50. So I do like Hut. I do like this chart on Hut. We got our third angle. It's not quite holding. It's barely holding that third angle. If next week we could see it, it's either going to launch up to 2151 next week, or we're going to come back down to the 200-week moving average, maybe go sideways till we hit this first angle again, and then cup and handle launch. That's what I'm looking for on Hut. Okay. Hive. Let's take a look at Hive. Hive, not too bad actually. Hive, I wouldn't call this a second angle. It came back and touched the first thing. So Hive, I was, sometimes I draw my 3 angles to see if it happens, and then it didn't. So we had a bit of a falling wedge, on Hive, a little bit of one, right? We came out of that with some force. Very nice. We're getting trapped between the 21-week and the 9-week EMA right now. We got 2 weeks of green BX Trender on this bad boy. We got the volume trying to go the right direction, but RSI is showing that's not quite ready yet, okay? So we might have a couple more weeks of sideways action on Hive, but once we crack the 21-week moving average at 219, we're going to move up to 270, which is where the 50-week is waiting for us. And if we can crack the 50-week, we find ourselves up to the equilibrium on the volume oscillator on the volume profile, which is at 315, and then from there on we can find that 412 is our next level for Hive. So we're watching Hive a little bit closely. It's holding this line. If we lose that line, if we lose this upper line, we're watching very closely. We're watching 161. If we lose 161, well, then we're coming all the way back down to the lows. Okay, so we're watching this trend line, right, drawing it from the very, very bottom along the bottoms of the candles upward. If we lose that, we're watching 161. If we lose 161, we're going all the way back to the lows. If we can crack the 21-week, we're going to move very quickly up to the 50-week at 270, and then if we can crack that very quickly up to about 314, where the equilibrium for the weekly volume profile is, and if we crack that, $4.09. Okay, so take a look at Can. How's Can doing? Can looks like trash. All right, Can sucks. Believes it belongs in the can. All right, so we're at the lows. All right, we are at the lows. Can hasn't even begun. To give us even the first angle here. Okay, it hasn't even begun to give us the first angle here. So look at this. So we had angle 1 right here on the way down, angle 2, and we broke angle 2, came right up to angle 1, and then we failed again. This is why I draw my 3 angles. Okay, we could come all the way back down to negative money. Wow, that sucks. Yeah, this one's no good. No good until price is minimum above $1. Until price is above $1, again, this one is going to be in free fall here. It's just sucking wind here. It needs to get above $1. I have no interest in this below $1 at all. It's at 63 cents right now. $1 would be a pretty big move up, but there's so much. If we look to the right here, there's so much resistance right here. Let me draw it. So much resistance right there, just above $1. I don't see it getting past that without a significant move. Like it needs to get above that, and then I'm interested. Then it's got room up into like the two. It can double up pretty quick once it's done that. Okay, and that would go right up to the equilibrium on the weekly volume profile here. Okay, Btdr. Btdr's been a pretty good chart for a while. Last week was a good chart. It end of the week down minus 4.8%, but we got our second week of green BX trender. We got the volume oscillator pointing the right way. We've got the RSI above 50. It's at 55 almost right now. Now, this is a back and forth here, but I don't hate it. I don't hate it. We're still holding that second angle. As long as we continue to hold that second angle, we're not going to the first angle. We could bounce right here and then just find it going into our third angle, and our third angle would on Btdr, our third angle would take us back up at least to at least to about $19, maybe even up to $20 on Btdr. If we lose that second angle, we come back down to about $12.73 where we test the first angle. If we lose the first angle, well, then we are going to go all the way down to about $10. And if we lose $10, we're going back to the lows. That's all there is to it. Okay, so next week, what are we looking for? If we go to the volume at the bottom here, we are looking for, okay, so we did this. We got above this one, right? And that's where we're struggling right now because we went above this big volume right here, which was at $13. We got above that. What's the next one to conquer? What's our next one to conquer? Our next big volume bar is all the way over here, right here. So our next big volume bar, so we could go up to about 20, right, before we hit significant resistance on these two volume bars here where the megaphone first appeared. And if you notice, we went to the top of that megaphone and then we just skirted the bottom of it for a really long time, making a falling wedge. And then we finally broke out of it and we did a nice move. So next struggle point, major struggle points can be about $20 here on that. And then on the way down, I gave you that list on the way down. All right, Soluna. Let's take a very, very quick look at Soluna. It looks like trash. It's been like trash for a while. I don't hate what I'm seeing right now. This does look like a rollover. It's coming. So it had that first angle and it looks like it's violating that first angle. It did violate that first angle, so this could come all the way back down to about 53 cents. I hate this one. Yeah, this gamble did not go well for me. But like I said many times, I kept this a very small position. It was like a few $100. It's like a nice dinner's worth of position here. I didn't care if it went to zero, so I still don't care if it goes to zero. I basically accepted that it could go to zero, but in case a hedge fund wants to come and mess with it, it could find itself going from where it currently is all the way up to very quickly all the way up to about like $4, maybe even $6 or $7, like in a hurry. But it wouldn't last more than a day or two. Like, trust me, it wouldn't last more than a day or two. All right. So basically, we're looking for some volume. Now, there is some interesting stuff at play here on the BX Trender. You can see the BX Trender for the last couple of weeks, even last week, the momentum appears to be picking up. The RSI is not reflecting that. It is kind of flat, and the volume oscillator looks terrible as well. So I wouldn't count on it. It's still a gamble. So I wouldn't buy more, but it has that potential to do like a real quick, swift move from where it is up to like $4, right? Like it could. Now that doesn't mean it will, but it could like go right up to the back of this box, which would be a 281% return, which would be pretty sick if you ask me. And or if it cracks that, if it manages to crack that, like if a hedge fund really wants to turn it into a play thing, it could come up to like the bottoms of these right here real quick and do like a 600% move and then fail again. Like, don't be surprised if it does. I mean, it's done it before. I mean, look right here in 2024, May 2024. What did it do? It looked like it was done, went all the way down to $1.37, came up, went and flagged sideways between 229 and 272 for a while, and then just from the bottom of that bull flag up to the top of that wick where it got, turned into like probably a hedge fund's plaything. It went up to 300%, and that happened in 1, 2, 3 weeks. In 3 weeks, it was up 300%. So don't be surprised if you see this thing do a real swift move from where it currently is up to like at least this box right here, which would be 288. But when something gets shot up that fast, it tends to do like a slingshot pass. So you see a wick maybe up to like here, like 474, right? Maybe somewhere like that, like 558% from current prices. And then very, very, very quickly roll over from there after, or if you're lucky, it might hold for a week or two like it did back here, or 4 weeks like it did back here, and then roll over. That'd be like the best case scenario. But if you saw that top there, and we saw that top coming, you could have seen that top coming, like that wick, like boom, to the next closest wick was 20% down. So, and where did it go? So that wick went up about, like half the way up the last previous highest wick. So if we were to extrapolate that idea over here, I'd put a line right here, I'd say about 445. And I'd say this is very likely where it could slingshot to, right? Boom, 445, and then very quickly be done from there. So I'm watching that. I'm watching it. Am I going to add to this? I don't know. We'll see. I don't think so. Maybe if I have some more throwaway money, I'll think about it. But anyways, that's all I've got for you today. Please like, comment, subscribe, share this video. Check out the Trade Cave store, link in the description, as well as the channel bio. Do not skip on Capital Curiosities. They've got a new episode dropping tomorrow, and have a profitable day.